Hello, I'm Ibrahim Imam and welcome to another episode of the Neurology Lounge podcast, this time titled 10 Deceptively Subtle Signs of Dementia. Dementia provokes fear because of its loud calling cards, forgetfulness, and change in personality. But these are by far not the only manifestations of this group of diseases in which there is no cure, but which can be mitigated by early lifestyle interventions. And beneath the tip of the huge iceberg of these prominent dementia symptoms, there are many other clues that neurologists look for when assessing people with suspected dementia. Some of these manifest early, whilst others come much later on. Here then is a countdown of 10 deceptively subtle signs of dementia. Number 10, cortical release phenomena. These signs represent the re-emergence of reflexes that are normally present in newborns, but which disappear with time. In dementia, these so-called primitive reflexes stage a comeback and can easily be elicited by simple test. Amongst the almost endless list of these signs are the suck, the snout, and the rooting reflexes, which are all found around the mouth. Others are the palmomental, the jaw, the grasp, and the glabellar reflexes. Not everything is simple in this podcast. Number 9, apraxia. This is the impairment of the voluntary performance of skilled movements which is not caused by specific weakness of muscles. The affected person may therefore struggle to wear their clothes, called dressing apraxia, to draw objects, called constructional apraxia, or to use familiar objects and tools. They may also be unable to make familiar gestures such as waving goodbye or blowing a kiss. It is important to know that dementia is not the only cause of apraxia, which can also be the result of such conditions as Huntington's and Parkinson's disease, corticobasal degeneration, progressive supranuclear palsy, and dementia with Lewy bodies. Number 8, mirror writing. Also called Spiegelschrift, this is when the person's writing is done in reverse order of the normal pattern. It may involve individual letters or whole sentences, and it tends to be most prominent with the letters B, D, S, and N. Rings familiar? Interestingly, it almost always affects the left hand, and it may be spontaneous or elicited. And whilst this can be caused by dementia, there is a long list of other disorders that can do the same, ranging from stroke, brain injury, and Parkinson's disease to learning disability, epilepsy, and subarachnoid hemorrhage. Number 7, anterior opercular syndrome. In this condition, there is loss of the voluntary control of mouth opening and eye closure. This therefore may present as impaired swallowing and frowning, and with mutism. Curiously, automatic shouting and smiling are preserved. Apart from neurodegenerative causes of dementia, this syndrome may also be caused by such disorders as bilateral strokes, epilepsy, brain tumors, brain trauma, and even multiple sclerosis. Number 6, executive dysfunction. Executive functions are those high-level cognitive skills that aid planning and the implementation of goal-directed plans. They require the ability to pay attention and to monitor and regulate behavior. Executive dysfunction can therefore be subtle and needs to be drawn out at the assessment. Apart from dementia, there are countless other causes of this, from neurological and psychiatric to systemic disorders. Clearly one that needs careful teasing out. Number 5, confabulation. This is when the person with memory difficulties creates false beliefs and memories to compensate for their gaps in memory. These memories are fabricated, distorted or misinterpreted, but nevertheless generated involuntarily and unconsciously with no intention to deceive. Whilst confabulation is a feature of dementia, it is more often a sign of a condition called Korsakoff syndrome, a brain dysfunction that arises from chronic deficiency of vitamin B1, often but not always caused by chronic alcoholism. Other neurological causes of confabulation range from traumatic brain injury, hydrocephalus and encephalitis, multiple sclerosis, brain tumors, and stroke. To add to that, there is also a long list of psychiatric causes of confabulation, which include the split brain syndrome, cortical blindness or Anton syndrome, Capgras syndrome, the delusion that someone close has been replaced, and schizophrenia. Number 4, pseudobulbar affect. This is the pathological involuntary display of emotions and manifests as pathological laughter or crying. The emotion is superficially like normal emotion, but it does not correspond with the person's real mood. The emotion is relatively stereotyped and uncontrollable, and there is no sense of relief after expressing the emotion. Furthermore, the emotions may alternate between laughter and crying, and it may even occur when the person is alone. The episodes typically last a few seconds to 2 minutes, and they may be triggered by moving the face or by someone approaching. Apart from dementia, almost any other structural brain disorder may manifest with pseudobulbar affect, and these include Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis. It is also a well-known feature of motor neuron disease. Number 3, topographical disorientation. This is the inability to navigate the environment, and it is related to the inability to recognize familiar landmarks, called landmark agnosia, and also to the inability to use these landmarks to get to a destination, called heading disorientation. Topographical disorientation may also be just anterograde, which is the inability to navigate only in unfamiliar environments. It may, however, be transient in such conditions as transient ischemic attack and normal pressure hydrocephalus. It may also be developmental due to an inability to form cognitive maps. Late onset and progressive topographical disorientation is therefore a clue to dementia. But mind you, this can also be seen with normal aging, and non-progressive causes can be from stroke, temporal lobe surgery, traumatic brain injury, and limbic encephalitis. Not an easy one to tease out. Number 2, agnosia. This is the impaired ability to recognize objects or stimuli, and it comes in many different guises. It could be visual, and this manifests as impaired visual recognition of objects, colors, words, and gestures. The visual form may also manifest as the inability to recognize faces, called prosopagnosia, the inability to recognize the digits, called finger agnosia, and the inability to distinguish between real objects and mirror images, rightly called mirror agnosia. And this last category includes the inability to recognize self-reflected images. Agnosia may also be auditory, presenting as the inability to recognize sounds. It may be tactile, the inability to recognize objects by touch, and the list goes on. And finally, number 1, abulia. This is simply the lack of initiative and drive, and this manifests as apathy, slow thinking or bradiphrenia, blunted emotional responses, impairment of spontaneous speech, limited volitional behaviors, reduced social interactions, and reduced interest in usual pastimes. Abulia may be caused by lesions in several parts of the brain, such as the frontal lobes, the caudate nuclei, the midbrain, and the thalamus. Therefore, apart from dementia, it can be caused by disorders such as traumatic brain injury, brain tumors, stroke, and Parkinson's disease. Thank you very much for listening or watching this podcast. If you found it interesting, enlightening, or even entertaining, do click on the like button, and why not subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss subsequent episodes of the podcast. And whilst waiting for the next episode, why not browse my book called Surfing the Brain, or check out my website called Neuro Checklist. Until the next episode, thank you very much for your time.